Okay. That was tough. Really wanted that win. Really wanted that win. To lose that one, definitely disappointing. I mean, it's not so much that they were up 17 in the third quarter because it's the Bucks, and the Bucks are, they have championship pedigree. Not many teams in the NBA could say they have championship pedigree with their current cores. The Bucks are one of them. They have it. It came through on both ends of the floor. This wasn't a game the Knicks lost as much as it was a game the Bucks won. We'll talk about why the Knicks lost it. There were some spots that definitely stood out. We'll talk about a lot of good things individually, but just from the outset, you have to tip your cap to everybody on the floor for New York. Just an inspiring effort. You know, if you are in a place like we are as Knicks fans this season, and you know you're not going to win a championship, and you also are not tanking, right? You're in that in-between zone. I think there's a lot of things that you want to see, and then there's a few things that you need to see. And I think the thing that you need to see is that sort of effort. If you want to believe that what you're doing, existing in the middle ground of the NBA for this year, and they've been there really the last few years. If you want to believe that it's worth it, you got to see games like tonight against a team like that. The Bucks are a bad matchup for the Knicks at both ends of the floor. They have players that can neutralize everything the Knicks try to do, and I thought the Knicks did a lot of good things to counterbalance that, including one of the more individual or brilliant individual performances you'll ever see from Jalen Brunson, and not to be outdone, a pretty freaking individual brilliant performance on offense from Emmanuel Quickley. And at the other end of the floor, and this is going to, we'll from this point bleed into conversation about the actual game. I know they are not a great offensive team this year. They've struggled a lot on offense this year, especially without Chris Middleton. But they are a team uniquely built to beat you in a lot of ways. And that is why they won the championship 2 years ago. That's why I believe they would have won the championship last year. That's why they're still my pick to win the championship this year. They were my preseason pick. I haven't changed that. When you have a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo who you can't guard one-on-one, and you build a team of three-point shooters around him, including at the center position, when they don't play him at center, and by the way, I mean, talk about a guy who is like, if you tried to create in a lab a better center to complement Giannis Antetokounmpo, you couldn't come up with Brook Lopez, a guy who might be the best rim protector in the league. He's money from deep. He's good on the interior, and he's dynamite in the offensive glass, which hurt the Knicks late in this game. It's really tough to guard this team, and the Knicks did a really nice job for, I would say, almost 3/4 of this game. And what's going to have people upset, and perhaps justifiably so, is the Bucks hit a million threes between the roughly the 4 or 5 minute mark of the third quarter and the end of the game. There was a stretch there in the third quarter or the beginning of the fourth quarter where it felt like, to me watching it was like, oh my God, have they made like 10 straight threes? And then at the end, when it was tight and the Knicks were right there and they had the lead with 4 minutes to go, Drew Holiday, after hitting, I think he was 1 for 7 from deep on the game, or 1 for 6 from deep on the game, whatever it was, he nailed a couple threes late, and then a long 2 on top of that. You need to pick your poison with this team. You are not going to hold Giannis Antetokounmpo to 6 made field goals and 22 points unless you give up something else. They obviously chose tonight to try to pack the paint, help out on 3-point shooters. I thought, given their defensive scheme, they played that scheme about as well as you could play it, again, for most of the game. There was 1 or 2 breakdowns in coverage through the first 2.5, 2 3/4 quarters. But for the most part, I thought they played it excellently. Did they overdo it down the stretch? Maybe. At the same time, the Bucks hit some tough shots. I mean, I looked it up before, I believe they were 8 of 17 from 3 in the fourth quarter. And if you, I didn't have time to look up the exact numbers, but if you start at like the 4 or 5 minute mark of the third and go to the end of the game, I'm pretty sure you're going to find that the Bucks hit like 55% or 60% on threes over the last 16, 17 minutes of the game. You make your gambles when you play defense in the NBA today because you can't take everything away against average teams, and you certainly can't take everything away against a team that has a player like that who just takes whatever scheme you want to use and throws it out the fucking window, to say nothing of a guy like Brook Lopez and a guy with championship pedigree like Jrue Holiday. And that's what I mean by the Bucks winning this game as opposed to the Knicks losing it. Jrue Holiday hit 2 massive threes down the stretch. They were contested. The second one I thought was really well contested by Quentin Grimes. You know, can't really do anything about tip outs, freak plays. I mean, they won the game more than the Knicks lost it. You want to talk about the stretch in the late third quarter? The thing that was frustrating about that stretch was Giannis was out of the game. So you don't feel like there's as much of a need to pack the paint. There was one play, I think it was the last play of the third quarter, or maybe I'm confusing it with another, but there's at least one. It was one play, and Clyde actually called it out in the game where Fournier had absolutely no, and that was when Giannis was back in. No, so it wasn't the end of the third quarter. It was when Giannis was back in, Randall was in. Like, Fournier had no business being in the paint and was late to get out, and it was an open corner three. Like, that was one of the more egregious ones. For the most part, though, I'm never going to have an issue with that sort of coverage against this sort of team. You want to quibble with 3 or 4 plays here and there where you're like, they went too far. 3 or 4 plays, maybe 5, maybe 6, whatever it is, in a game where you really largely played not good defense, not great defense, phenomenal defense. And when a team like that is going to finish the night hitting 39% from 3, which they did, that's going to be enough, especially when you, on the other side of the ball, are only going to shoot 27% from deep. And that's another way. Like, if the Knicks just hit a third of their threes tonight, they win the game. I believe if the Knicks had RJ Barrett tonight, they win the game. Now, you could say Chris Middleton's out on the other side, so that's fair. But, like, Knicks missed a lot of makeable threes. Julius Randle, obviously, 1 for 12 from deep was the big one. He's been hitting 30. He's 35% for the year from deep. He's been hitting above that over the last month and change. It's just kind of, it's one of those things, not one of the game, not a sort of game where you try to make something bigger out of it than it is. The thing that I want to try to make out of this game, and I know I've been talking for 10 minutes and I haven't really talked about Jalen Brunson yet. I'm going to do that in a second. Is this team is good. They lost to not a great team the way they played this year, but that team still, again, has championship pedigree. This Knicks team is good. They're for real. They were the better team tonight. They did not have the best player, and they did not shoot the ball well. And because of that, they lost by 4. You'll sign for that. You'll sign for that. You'll sign for this sort of effort. Obviously, you'll sign for this sort of effort. It was, like I said, it was an inspiring effort. Let's talk about a couple of the players before we move on to the Super Chats. I guess we kind of have to start off with Jalen Brunson, huh? Career high, 44 points, 44 points. Playoff or regular season. Bested his point total against Utah in last season's playoffs. Took 30 shots to get there. But he was incredible tonight. They are not, obviously, it goes without saying, they are not in this game without Jalen Brunson, especially not having RJ Barrett, and especially having a night like this, shooting-wise, from Julius Randle. I don't know what more there is to say about Jalen Brunson. I'm in the process of writing something for the middle of the year stars standings for the Knicks Film School newsletter. Spoiler alert: Jalen Brunson is in the lead. I'll spoil what I'm writing, which is that I think we need to at least start having the conversation about whether he is going to be in the running for the best Knicks free agent signing of all time. Not that that's a long list of guys who've been great Knicks free agent signings, but like he's that good. You want to have the best point guard since conversation. That's a conversation that's going to get really interesting. Right now, he's just a guy. The best thing I think you could say about Jalen Brunson is he's a guy who does whatever his team needs him to do on a particular night. And sometimes, or let me rephrase that, he does what's best for his team on any particular night. And there are some nights where he doesn't have it, where that'll mean him doing other things. And then there are some nights where he clearly does have it, facing some of the best defensive guards you will ever see in Drew Holiday and Javon Carter, and to say nothing of Giannis Antetokounmpo as a help defender. And still to do what he did tonight, this is one of the best performances you will ever see someone put forth in a Knick uniform. And unfortunately, they'll get overshadowed because it's a loss in the middle of January, and it's up against the national championship game, and who knows how many people actually watch this thing. A phenomenal game for Jalen Brunson. The reason I started by saying I guess we have to start with Jalen Brunson is it almost feels disingenuous to highlight someone far and away above everybody else because there were two other performances. Everybody played well, except Isaiah Hartenstein. I'll save that until someone brings it up in the comments. Not great. Hart. Not great. But there were two other performances which I thought were worthy of really singling out. One of those was Emmanuel Quickley. This looked like it was going to be the Emmanuel Quickley game for a while until Brunson took over. He ended up with 23 points, 9 of 14 from the field. I'm sure there's going to be some comments tonight about how do you not get Quickley more involved in the offense at certain times. I hear it. Could they have done that more at certain stretches? Maybe. But I feel like he took advantage of his moments. It's a conversation moving forward about how they could try to factor him in more, especially when RJ comes back. This offense clearly goes through Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle right now, and Quickley is like the third cog with RJ out. After RJ comes back, he's kind of going to move to the fourth cog. They need to figure out how to keep him heavily involved. I mean, he took 14 shots tonight. You could argue he should have taken a handful more. I'm not gonna fight you on that. How you do it, that's the thing, right? Is against a defense like this, you kind of have to take what they give you, and that's part of why. And I'll transition to Julius Randle, and then we'll move on to the super chats. A defense like this, you kind of have to take what they give you, and that's why the Bucks are such a great team, and that's why I think the Bucks are going to win the championship this year. Is because more than perhaps any other team in the league, they dictate the terms of engagement on any given night. And that's why it's like when you're defending them, you have to pick your poison a little bit. But when they're on defense, they kind of tell you, like, all right, you're going to get what we give you. And early on, especially when Randle was taking all those threes, that's what they were giving. They were like, hey, you know what? If Randle beats us from three, Randle beats us from three. They were going to live with it. And then throughout the game, they did other things. And then in terms of like what they and like credit to them, they have the ability to, if an Emmanuel Quickley is going off, it's like, oh, wait, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. Because we have when Grayson Allen is your worst defensive probably player on the roster, although Bootchamp is getting time right now, and I haven't watched enough of them to speak about his defense, but like their real rotation, it's just they don't have any weak spots. So they can really take away what you want to do. And they started making life difficult for the Knicks, really difficult for them. I mean, they made life difficult for the Knicks all night long, but really, especially there late in the third, and then they started hitting shots. And, I'm certainly not pinning tonight all on Isaiah Hartenstein, or certainly not all on Isaiah or on Evan Fournier, but like there's a reason the Knicks formula has been working so well, and it is because they play. If you get on the floor for them, it is because you defend, and you defend at a certain level, and that's why I can't wait to have RJ back. Maybe Sims comes up in conversation tonight with the super chats. I'm not sure. Jericho Sims is as far along defensively to the point where he would make that big of a difference over Hardenstein, but at the same time, like Hardenstein, he's really hurting you right now, which is disappointing. Because I like Hardenstein. I think he's a better fit on a different team. It's just not working out right now. Look, I don't want to end on that note. This is a really good effort. I can't put my disappointment into words after this game. I really wanted to win this one. This to me would have been an announcement to the league, like, you have to take the Knicks seriously. And like to a certain extent, maybe it still was, but I have a feeling people are going to look at this and be like, oh, they lost to the Bucks at home, ended the win streak. Brunson went off. That's the only reason they were in the game. Nothing special. I feel like we should know better. And we shouldn't have to know better because, again, the numbers have said what this team is for a month and a half now. This is a really good basketball team. Not a great team, not a contending team, but a really good basketball team. That's it. I spoke for longer than usual. I apologize. There was a lot that I wanted to get out. And let's get to the Super Chats. I'm sure we're going to have some lively conversation here. All right. Robert Cross starts us off because, of course, he does. I don't want to see Hardenstein. Of course, the first Super Chat is for Isaiah Hardenstein. I hope tonight's more positive than this. I don't want to see Hardenstein in the goddamn rotation anymore. Dude is softer than Charmin. Hashtag 53 wins. It's not a great fit right now. It's just not. I mean, the series of plays there in the it all runs together. What was it? The late third or the early fourth when they just Hardenstein he airballed a little baby hook shot that Randall, thank the good Lord, got and put back in. Oh, wait, did I talk about Randall? I didn't talk about Randall. Shoot. Briefly, incredible, outstanding, amazing, one of best Randall defensive performance of the season. Neck and neck with the Denver game. But the Denver game, he didn't defend like that in the first half. I wanted to give credit to where credit is due. Julius Randle was amazing tonight on the defensive end. He wasn't hitting his outside shot. Other than that, on offense, I thought he was fine. I thought he just wasn't hitting a shot. I wanted to shout out Randall. That's what I forgot. Sorry about that. I don't want to disrupt my flow. Yeah. So other than that, there was that play. There was the plays where he had like 3 or 4 looks at the basket on offensive rebounds. Didn't make any of them. It's tough to watch right now, honestly. Hardenstein, and he's hurt you on defense. He has nothing on the defensive glass, especially against a team like this. It's tough. It's tough. I don't blame you for being frustrated. I have to laugh that was the first comment. Thanks, Robert. Hannibal Miles, 2 for 2. Combine Hartenstein in a trade with Reddish. Think we could get something decent. If this doesn't happen, how much longer until Sims takes his minutes? I don't know. We'll see. I don't have a great answer for you. You could tell me Sims comes and plays Hardenstein's minutes on Wednesday. You could tell me Sims is out of the rotation for the rest of the year, and I'd believe either. You're not getting much, I don't think, because all of a sudden the Hardenstein contract doesn't look great. It's $7 million guaranteed next year, $8 million guaranteed next year, which is it's not a lot of money, but he's pretty clearly shown himself to be a backup center in the league. And even if he could go back to looking like maybe one of the better backup centers in the league on a different team, $7-8 million a year is still a lot to pay for a backup 5. Reddish, I don't know what value Cam Reddish has right now. I think they call that outgoing salary in a trade. Thanks, Hannibal. Appreciate it. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? Welcome to hell. I don't want to see iHeart ever again. Sorry. did not see this one coming after tonight. Hardenstein was not good. I just didn't expect there to even be getting so much hate. Yeah, we'll see. Guy Huber then. What's going on, Guy Huber? For as much as Tibbs wants to win every game, playing iHeart as much as he does is pretty counterintuitive, but I got to watch more game tape. Of course, we got to get some Tibbs hatred in here. The Knicks lost the game, so obviously, Tibbs was a terrible coach tonight. What did Hardenstein play? Played 10 minutes. I'm going to guess he was like a -10 or a -12 in those. He was a -3. Okay. I don't think that's indicative of how he played. He was very bad. I think, look, obviously I'm the guy that defends Tibbs, so I'm going to defend him. Certainly not because I'm right, but I'll defend him because it's just what I do. When you have a veteran player like Hardenstein who has a longer track record with him, Sims, we've seen already. It takes Tibbs longer to go over to the next guy. Now, it depends on the situation, too. I mean, the Knicks are playing great ball right now. Hardenstein is not really a part of that, but the team is playing very well. Would swapping him out for Sims make a material difference? Maybe. It feels like it's really bad right now, and it feels like, Sims couldn't be worse than Hardenstein. I'm not going to disagree with that. We'll see if he does anything. We'll see. I don't know. I don't really have a great answer there. Mythic Monty, what's going on, Mythic Monty? Completely winnable game. Yes, but again, you didn't lose this one to the Houston Rockets or the Charlotte Hornets or even, some middle, like the Wizards or even like the Bulls. You lost this game to a team that came and won it. Winnable game, yes. But just pay respect where respect is due. Questionable rotations leaving Hardenstein in and quickly out for so long. Late game executions, as per usual lately. The only late game execution issues that I saw was the not fouling when they had the foul to give, and the ball ended up in Giannis's hands. Whoever is nearest Giannis at that exact moment has to know to foul him really hard. I think that was Randall, which, it's a brain fart. I'm not going to kill him for it. Other than that, I didn't, it was essentially one moment that was 1 second in a game that was 48 minutes long. You want to kill him for it? You can kill him for it. As far as leaving quickly out, Quickly played, what did he play? Manuel Quickly played 43 minutes tonight. Only in Knicks land do we get Tibbs is leaving his guys in for so long, and then on a night like tonight, guy leads the team with 43 minutes. I didn't play him enough. You'd love to see it. Forgotten NYC. Clippers snake oil salesman. # I fart. I gotta tell again. I'm too out of the loop. I'm too old for this shit. I obviously Hardenstein played terrible. If you would have told me, do you think the first 6 comments of the postgame are going to be all negative on a night when Jalen Brunson had a career high and on a night when the Knicks played arguably the hardest they've played all season? 6 straight comments. I say Hardenstein sucks. Let's focus on those 10 minutes from this one poor schmuck. That's baseball, Susan. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. What bland should Tibbs get with these repeated meltdowns? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. What bland should Tibbs get with these repeated meltdowns? It's not a meltdown, Robert. It's a you're playing a really good team. This wasn't a 17. If they lost a 17-point lead in the last 4 minutes of the game, that's a meltdown. Or even if they lose in the last 6 minutes of the game, that's a meltdown. Or even the last 8 minutes of the game, that's a meltdown. 17-point lead midway through the third. The teams that they're playing starts heating up from 3. They can't hit a 3. It's not a meltdown. It's not. I don't know. I get it. You want to see perfection, right? You want to see perfection. We want to see perfection all the time on the things you can control. And there is this illusion that the coach controls more than he can, or that because the coach calls the plays and the coach calls the coverage, that the coach holds all the cards. Team had a very sound scheme tonight, an extraordinarily sound scheme tonight, and they executed that scheme pretty brilliantly for most of the game and with outstanding effort, which I remember once upon a time where coach after coach after coach would inspire efforts that would make us embarrassed to be Knicks fans. And we would say, God, one day I want to watch a team that just played hard. You will never in your life as a basketball fan, see a team play harder than the New York Knicks did tonight. And this is what we end up with. Thanks, Robert. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? I feel like we saw the ceiling of the Knicks is currently constructed here. I don't know if I agree with that just because they shot so poorly tonight. Like, we could expect commensurate shooting from the Knicks along league average lines. They shot, what did they shoot? Jesus Christ. They shoot 23% from three tonight? 27%. They were 11 of 41. So like there's more meat on the bone. And RJ wasn't here tonight. That's another thing. This wasn't the ceiling. They're missing their third or fourth best player. The Bucks treated this like a must win. I agree with that. Exactly how a 7-game series would go. 4-1, we're a good team missing a star. Yeah, I think if they're fully healthy and they're hitting open shots, which they get open shots in this office. They just don't hit them enough. I think they could. I bet you they could put more of a scare into a good team in the first round, depending on the matchup. I think some matchups are bad for them. Maybe all of the top 5 seeds in the Eastern Conference are bad matchups for them. That's certainly not an unfair assessment. But they're a star away. I think that's fair. They're a star away. Thanks, Dan. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? Great game, tough loss. The Bucks hit 19 threes and only scored 109 points. It's a great call. Really great call. And so when you factor in the fact that the Bucks, so they had 19 threes, they scored 40 points from 2-point range. 14 points from the free throw line, and 57 points from deep. A team like that to only give up 40 points from 2-point range, that's the other side of the 3-point coin. Anyway, Holiday hit some absurd shots down the stretch. Rebounding in crunch time was a massive issue. Yeah, and again, credit to the Bucks. They're a really good rebounding team on both ends of the floor. So give credit where credit's due. Thanks, Danny. GD Nation, what's going on? iHeart with Charles Sims impression. Hurts to see. That was very painful. To be clear, I would not mind at all if Isaiah Hartenstein was no longer in the rotation. Just want to make that very clear. Danny Gardner with another one. I've refrained from criticism all year, but Isaiah Hartenstein can't play. Having a big who can pass is no use if he can't score, and his rebounding issues are obvious. Yes, on the rebounding issues, the floater seems to have eluded him. When he was signed, a lot of people were like some people who just looked at his 3-point percentage was like, oh, the Knicks get their stretch 5. And if you look closer, you realize well, no, that was just basically a couple of handfuls of games at the end of the season where they kind of took the reins off on him. The 3-point shot did not come around. Look, you want to fault the Knicks, the coaching or they don't run more plays for him, but the Knicks just that's not the offense they run. They don't run a series of cuts and things like that, and they've been cutting a lot more this year. Give them credit for that. But you look at their backup offense, is that the sort of backup offense that Hartenstein can kind of direct? I don't even know. It's not a great fit. Frank Sound, what's going on, Frank? Proud, great fight, young Knicks, Bucks better than the Mavs. I agree. Thank you. Smart comment, Frank. I appreciate that. Comment from Jalen Brunson after the game, really briefly. For me, a couple plays in the fourth quarter that were just terrible. Those are 4 possessions I wish I could have had back. I got to treat possessions like they mean the world to me. I don't even know what he's talking about. But he is the guy that I want leading my team if he's talking about what he didn't do after 44 points. Yeah. Love me some Jalen Brunson. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? One of my favorite games. Me too. I love that game for so much of it. And as disappointed as I am sitting here right now, you gotta tip your cap. Heart, grit, and some brilliant defense. Completely agree. This team is closer than some think. I completely agree. Note, Randall's first quarter was after Claudio sincerely joined hashtag ride with Randall bandwagon. Hashtag Claudio curse 2. I'm here for it. Blame Andrew Claudio for any and all Knicks woes. I love it. I'm here for it. That's it.
Anthony, my guy, I do this, and this is how you treat me?
Deserved.
Yeah, okay.
Hashtag deserved.
You know what? Fire Tibbs. All right, how's that? I'll get on that bandwagon next. How's that?
Oh, man. Emil Boumansor, what's going on, Emil? This game tells you exactly why Fournier is not part of the rotation. So many open threes because of him. Completely lost on defense. He's just... There were two plays. One was the play... I think it was the fourth quarter. I got to go back and look. It was soon after his three, because he hit a big three, which it was big in the moment. I think it tied the game at 87. They'd fallen behind for the first or second time all game. And then the second or next time down the court, he was so far in the paint, and Clyde, again, called this one out, where it was like Randall was just starting to back down. Giannis was just starting to back down Randall. And, like, first of all, that's not where the help should come from. Second of all, like, Randall's been battling Giannis all game. Like, the Knicks have clearly, their timing on the help for so much of this game was so to the second precise with how and from where they call the help. And then to see Fournier just like, I'm going to get in the lane because, like, this is what the scheme is that we're running. Like, you have to know Giannis can make that pass with his fucking eyes closed to the corner. And Fournier obviously doesn't get out in time, and it's a nailed three. And then the other one that hurt when he was in the game in the second half was high screen on the foul line extended. It was for Ingles. Ingles was the shooter. And, like, Fournier was guarding Ingles. And, like, the second they saw Fournier was guarding Ingles, they were like, oh, run a high, screen and or pick and pop. And not a pick and pop, high pick and roll where the shooter just takes the shot. Like, Fournier went over the screen. It didn't make a difference. You don't feel Evan Fournier on defense in the way you feel the guys that are in the Knicks rotation right now. Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley, Deuce McBride. And, like, those other guys, like, they're not perfect. Like, we see, Grimes got blown by again once tonight. Like, Deuce had a jump through contest in the high corner in the fourth quarter that was a converted three. Like, these guys make mistakes, but, like, when you compare the mistakes that they make to the mistakes that, like, an Evan Fournier makes, and I really don't want to pour on Evan Fournier because, like, I think he's in a tough spot and he's coming in and he's playing hard. It's just with their identity that they have right now, he just doesn't fit it. He just doesn't. It is what it is. Anyway, that's my take. Yeah, I'm looking at some tweets. Of course. Yeah, coach lost the game. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, Haitian? Bucks made shots in the fourth that they missed all game. Yep. Got to credit them. We played to win. Game plan on Giannis was solid. We missed RJ tonight. As usual, Haitian, your takes are exactly as I see them. We are of one mind. Good stuff by you. Appreciate that. A.E. Kennedy, late game execution is still our bugaboo. Again, it was the one possession. It was the one possession, and it was probably a bigger deal was made of it than should have been. But, like, yes, you have to foul there. Yes. But even because it was the foul to give, even if you had fouled into the Kumpo there, it's still an inbounds, whatever. It wasn't good. And it's something that is an issue, and they need to work on it. Okay? Agree. Need to do more than ISO. Should have won that game. Again, to say they should have won the game discounts everything that the other team did and was doing. You know? They're also a team that's built on isolation scoring. And again, this is why the Bucks are such a difficult matchup for them, because unlike other teams, and I'm not saying the Knicks are the best passing team in the league. They're not. But, like, Randall and Brunson, they're two main guys who it's like, let's give them the ball and let them go to work. Those two guys, their efficiency warrants that level and modica and that level of usage and, like, how they are used. And they have both been making the appropriate passes every time the defense brings the help. The thing with the Bucks is when you play the Bucks, the Bucks don't need to bring the help. The only times they really need to bring the help were when Brunson was on fire late in the game. And what did Brunson do every time? He got the ball into the hands of Julius Randle, who had an open lane to the rim. And again, because the Bucks are so well constructed, they have Brook Lopez down there who has the unique ability to defend at once a driving Randle and a Mitchell Robinson there under the hoop. So well constructed to beat specifically a team like the Knicks that is not really built to beat what they do, what the Bucks do on defense. So, like, I can't be like the Knicks ISO too much. It's just, this is a tough matchup for them. And the fact that they got as many points as they did and they did as well as they did on offense, I think is a credit to their players and to the coaching to some extent. And again, they don't have RJ. Let me finish reading your comment. Milwaukee did what championship teams do. Buckle down and beat you in the fourth. Holiday hit big shots. Yes, 100%. Very much agree. And apparently after the game, Tibbs acknowledged some overhelping at times. Agree. And you could say, like, well, they're going to overhelp if they know that's the game plan. But that's why you got to have your best defenders in there. You have to have your best defenders because, and I had the same conversation after the Mavs game where they lost by 1 billion points in the second half. They've cleaned it up so much because of the rotation changes since that Mavs game. It doesn't change the fact that you still, to execute this defense as well as it needs to be executed to be a top 10, if not a top 5 defense, which is what they have been for over half the season. I just want to remind everybody. I know the team that they were playing hit some shots tonight for 24 games now because they're going to stay a top 5 defense over those 24 games. Even after tonight, they've been a top 5 defense over 24 fucking games. That is not smoke and mirrors. And for everybody out there, Tibbs can't adjust and Tibbs doesn't do this and Tibbs doesn't do that. If you're a top 5 defense for 24 fucking games of the season, you know, like, shit happens. Sometimes teams hit shots. You got to give credit where credit is due sometimes. That's the mature take. You know, that's the smart take. Not the, I can make this point here because of what happened tonight. Let me make this point because it backs up my agenda. That's not the smart take. Be better. Next comment. Andrew. Lost the game, but gaining respect and credibility. Completely agree. With every night. The numbers back it up. The eye test backs it up. You have to respect this team right now. Hush Zoo. if we're not going to utilize Isaiah Hartenstein's strengths, what is the point of playing him? We're at the point where we need to have that discussion. I agree with you. We sorely missed RJ this game, in my opinion. We really needed his paint presence. I feel like the best teams in the NBA, and not that the Knicks are one of the best teams in the NBA, but the best teams in the NBA have a top three all in their starting lineup, in which somebody is clearly the number 3 on the totem pole. And then they have a bench guy who can support bench units. And then they mix and match generally so that at least 2 of those players are always on the floor. Right now, the Knicks are missing one of those components. And you feel it. You feel it during stretches of the game when the other team has all of their best defenders in and you need that third big guy. Now, I understand Quickly is starting, and that helps. But, I think this team is better when RJ is in there, in the starting lineup. And I know I've waffled on that over the last few weeks. I will say it very clearly right now. This team is better with RJ in the starting lineup. I think Quickly is a guy who should be playing 30 minutes a game off the bench, and he's a perfect guy to mix and match with the rest of your guys. But to have RJ in there as a starter, a guy who you know is going to be able to get you 5, 6, 7, 8 shots at the rim every game without fail, including lobs. In addition to that, lobs to Mitchell Robinson. They need that. They need that extra dimension if they're going to remain a very good team, offensive team especially. Busy, what's going on, Busy? Why is Jared Jeffries on The Price is Right excited to win a Toyota Prius? I thought it was it Jared Jeffries or was it Channing Frye? I thought it was Channing Frye.
It was Jared Jeffries.
Oh, why did I think it was Channing Frye?
I don't know, but Busy on a night where I was expecting a completely different comment came up with out of left field with a Price is Right comment. But I was also confused when I saw Jared Jeffries on The Price is Right.
I don't know why I thought it was Channing Frye. That's a bad job by me. He can't even fit in that thing. Legit excited. Hashtag once a Nick, always a Nick. Yeah, I was a big Jared Jeffries fan, unsurprisingly. I thought he was a good Nick. A little overpaid. Christian Mitchell, I'm done with Tibbs apologists. Honestly, constantly blowing leads, bad fourth quarter strategy, overplaying Isaiah Hartenstein. These players deserve a better coach. Okay. Look, that's the best part of being a fan, right? Is you are entitled to your opinion. No one is going to tell you that your opinion is definitely wrong. I can't do that. I don't have the power to do that. You're entitled, I have my view, you have your view. You'll find out at some point, right? Because every coach gets fired. Tibbs will as well at some point. Brooklyn IT 14. I think I got that. Hi, John. What would you say our best winning? It's a healthy team. Is it the Cavs win? That's a good question. They don't have a great win over a healthy team. But to me, that's not a big deal because if you look around the league, just again, I don't want to spend too long on this. First of all, nobody's healthy. Nobody's healthy. That's just the reality of the situation. Boston has been mostly healthy. Brooklyn until KD has been healthy. Cleveland's been kind of healthy. Philly's been kind of healthy. Denver, yeah, but Murray's still not really himself. That's really it. That's the thing about this year is there's a handful of teams that have been mostly healthy and you would consider a great team. Do they have any wins against any of those teams? The Cleveland game would probably be the closest. This certainly would have been what I would consider, even though they're missing Middleton, I think I would have considered this their best win of the season. They came really close against Memphis, even though Memphis wasn't whole. I think that's significant. Yeah, but again, the whole team, the whole league, nobody's really healthy. Like everybody's trying to win. There's a lot of parity. And yet you look around and you're like, I'm not saying that you're trying to do this, but like if someone is trying to look at the Knicks record and being like, hey, it's fool's gold that they don't have a really super quality win. Well, if what they're doing is fool's gold, like look around the league. Where's the other team where it's like, you know what? Look at what they're doing against similar situation where there's not a lot of great teams that are fully healthy. And like looking around the league, like I don't know that I see that team. You could say Indiana. I guess you could say Indiana. I would argue that Indiana has first of all, they have a surefire all-star in Tyrese Halliburton. They're really well constructed. Also, they're playing above their heads. Indiana's point differential on the season, they're dead even. The Knicks are plus 2.7. Indiana has been one of the luckiest teams in the league, if not the luckiest team in the league. And some of that is winning close games. The Knicks have won some close games. They haven't won others. The Knicks should have a better record than they have. That's absolutely fair. Other than that, like I guess you could point to the Kings. Kings are 20-18. Knicks are 22-19 now. I don't know. Like you play who you play. That's really it. Jibo, what's going on, Jibo? Thanks for the contribution. J-Mac, it's always good to hang with you in KFS, win or lose. Appreciate that. I love Grimes, but he needs to be better. 1 of 7 just won't cut it from our golden boy. I believe we win this game with RJ. I still believe. I think they win the game with RJ. Yeah, for sure. I think they win the game with RJ. As far as Grimes, he didn't hit shots tonight. I thought his defense was really good. I thought he made a lot of winning plays. I thought he had a bunch of nice drives that, like, he had that great up and under. Loved seeing that. He had some really nice passes. Like, but yeah, of course you want him to be better than 1 for 7. I'm not going to go crazy over it. That's not the thing that, he had 8 rebounds. That's pretty good. You don't pin this loss on any one player or any one thing. You just, you kind of recognize what it was and you move on. Thanks, Chibo. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Appreciate hearing from you as always. Appreciate the generous contribution. I can't with Hartenstein anymore. I just can't. For all the things offensively that Sims can't do, I don't know about that. We keep hearing from Tibbs, actually, that Sims is a great playmaker. That offensively that can't do what he does. He just didn't. It wasn't the worst thing about tonight. Couldn't wait for number 23, and I know he needed a rest. Need more Sims. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I wouldn't, like I said, if you told me that Sims was going to come out and play the backup center minutes the next game, I wouldn't be shocked. You want to tell me that maybe they wait until after the trade deadline? I don't know. Like, I don't know who wants Isaiah Hartenstein right now. Like, that's the thing, is that would be another L for the front office that has taken. They have one major win in Jalen Brunson, but my God, have they taken a lot of L's as far as free agency goes. And I don't know if they're ready for that yet. We'll see. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Hi, John.
Hey, what's going on, Andrew?
I believe it's time for us to do a thing.
Yes, sure. Yes, we were going to do this early on, and it would have been with much spirit and vigor.
Had it coincided with a win, especially over a Bucks team that, while I agree with you, they have championship pedigree and are better than the way they've played lately. They are also a team that was playing poorly, and I thought we could have taken advantage of that. Having said that, they turned it on in the second half. And
yeah.
You tip your cap. Having said that, we've been doing pretty great lately here at KFS, and we are happy to announce a new partnership with the fine folks over at MSG. We're going to be doing a segment on our post-game shows, the MSG Moment of the Game. Yes, MSG is in Madison Square Garden. And if you go, I just wanted to make sure people understand, like, we're partnering
Spell it
with
out,
the
yes.
Garden, okay? Madison Square Garden. If you go to Knicks.com/Blue Wire for information on tickets, you just head there and say that we sent you. Obviously, it will be that way because you used the link that we sent to you. But we're gonna decide a moment of the game for this episode. So I was hoping there'd be some big buzzer beater, and we're not choosing a Milwaukee Buck or a Drew Holiday step back for the moment of the game, the first moment of the game.
I have a bunch of candidates.
I have a bunch of candidates. Okay, so what are yours?
So here, are we going to decide on 3 candidates, right?
Yeah, let's decide on 3.
So I think all 3 candidates could be like pick any Jalen Brunson basket in the last 5 minutes of the game. But to spice it up, I thought Jalen Brunson's biggest basket was the 3 to, I think it tied it up at 94 with, I don't know how many minutes there were to go, but a few minutes left in the game. I thought that was huge. I thought the momentum had clearly shifted to the Bucks, and that at least gave the Knicks a glimmer of hope briefly. And then for the other 2, I went to different plays in the game that I thought were just really good plays. One was Grimes. I know it was his only made field goal of the game, but it was a damn good one. His up and under finish after
up and under,
after what was a nice some nice ball movement on that possession. And then the third one I had came a little bit earlier than that. Deuce McBride being Deuce, doing what Deuce. Did I get your 3?
Yeah, the exact same 3.
There you go.
Look at this inertia going on here. I will say the Jalen Brunson 3 that you're talking about put the Knicks up 94-92.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
But then he hit a 2, a floater to make it 96-94, and then the Drew Holiday started happening. And
then Drew Holiday started happening.
Yes.
The Deuce, by the way, is still, and he passed it off and then got the ball back and hit a 3. So great job by him there. So those are our 3.
The only other fun one I wrote down when I inadvertently potentially cursed the Knicks with my tweet saying that they were dominating the Bucks tonight. I didn't see that even the slightest bit of bench minutes was going to be the end of their domination tonight. I had the Randall attempt at a dunk as a moment, just because, like, it's one thing I would have remembered from this game that Randall on the off night of off nights decided to throw an exclamation point down and got blocked by the rim. But those are the 3 I think we'll go with. The Jalen Brunson 3, step back 3 to make it 96-94. The
94-92, I think.
94-92.
Yeah.
The Quentin Grimes up and under, his only basket of the game, and the Deuce McBride steal. That then he was rewarded with a 3-pointer. Now I'm gonna put it to a poll in the chat. I'm gonna have you guys vote. And I believe you're able to vote on these after the video goes up. It's our first time doing it, so bear with us if you're not allowed to do that. But if you want to, cast your vote, and we'll let the chat decide what the MSG moment of the game is. Shout out to our new friends at Madison Square Garden. We look forward to, at least for the next little bit, partnering with you. What's up?
What was that website?
Knicks.com/Blue Wire.
Hey, everybody. You know what's fun for me? Getting some MSG dollars. Go to that fucking website if you want to get tickets to the game.
Spell it out.
Knicks.com/Blue Wire.
There you go.
Okay,
Come
on. James Dolan's got a lot of money. He can afford to give some of it to us, here at KFS.
Yes. Okay. More super chats. Here we go.
You gonna hang out for a bit? No? Okay. Andrew went away. We'll see him back later, I'm sure. Thanks, Andrew. Forgotten NYC. Knicks players love getting career highs and losses. It is a Knicks thing, I think. It is a Knicks thing. RJ did it against Miami. RJ's game against the Bulls, right, was the second career high. Randall, well, I forgot Randall's career high happened in the last couple of years, but that I feel like one of those came in a win, or I could be wrong. I don't know. Randall's big numbers seem to come in wins.
They're all in big in wins. So Randall has a 46-point game against the Kings last year, which was in a win.
It's a win.
before that, during the We Here season, his 240-plus point games were a Dallas game on the
Dallas.
road during their
Yep.
winning streak, and the coming out party that let us know he was an All-Star candidate against the Hawks.
That's right. Yes, 40 against the Hawks. Yes.
Yes. And then this season, he had a game where he went off against the Timberwolves in a win, against the Pistons in a win, and the only 40-point game that he had where there was a loss was the Spurs game, where it was literally him and Quickly were the only offense.
Yeah,
for the night.
good call. But yeah, but it's a thing. And Quickly too. Quickly has career high against the Spurs too, right? Or close to his career high.
No, that was his career high.
It was career high.
Okay. Yeah.
So
he had 37. Randall had 40 or 41, something like that.
Good comment, forgotten. Robert Cross, it's your boy John. Like my dad says, it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. Hashtag 53 wins. If they would have won this game tonight, Robert, I'd started giving you a little bit more credit for the hashtag 53 wins. Oh, and the Claudio curse, right?
Claudio curse is taking a lot of L's tonight. Just all of the above. My tweet from during the game, 13-5 is no longer in play. Yeah, all the above tonight.
As has 3-1 is now officially in peril. Knicks got to go 3-0 the next 3 games.
Yes.
Bruce
but they
Taylor,
might get RJ back, so that'll help towards that at least.
Well, we hope. We hope they get him back. I'm not. Listen, one at a time. Bruce Taylor, what's going on? Much less Hartenstein, more Sims and or Obi. Yeah, it's our first Obi comment of the night. It was good to have him back. Nice to see him hit a 3. They were matching Randall's minutes with Giannis. That's the only reason why Obi played as much as he did, which I have zero issue with. I expect that you will see Obi Toppin playing a little bit more moving forward, for sure. Thanks, Bruce.
1 second. Here you go.
Sure. Wombler, thank you for the generous contribution, Wombler. Amazing we were in it given our field goal percentage. Yeah, I mean, what was their final field goal percentage in this game was
not good.
38%. They shot 38% this game, 27% from deep. And they got to the line. They were 20 of 22 from the line, which was great. But 22 free throws, that's fine. That's fine. Against the Bucks, that's actually pretty good. Julius Randle Mitch did an excellent job on Giannis. Completely agree. Really, we have not emphasized enough Julius Randle's job on the defensive end tonight. Can't say enough about it. Really good. Only play I hated is when Fournier stood in the paint to help in quotation marks, leaving an open corner 3. I think those could be cleaned up. Yeah. 1,000%. Yes. Completely agree. You're always going to have nitpicks. It's tough to play a perfect game. Rowan Beckford Sr., what's going on, Rowan? Hey, John, your opinion on why he chooses iHeart over Sims. More veteran player. A guy that Knicks just spent a lot of money on in the offseason. Again, I personally, I don't have any inside information on this. I believe personally that, like, yes, Thibodeau gets to make the final decision on everything. It's his decision. Buck stops with him. Nobody's telling him who he has to play or doesn't have to play. But I think there is a gray area between that and, like, Tibbs is just going to do what he wants willy-nilly and ignore all other considerations. Like, the front office just went out and spent a lot of money on Hartenstein, for a backup center at least. 2 years, $15 million in the offseason. He's a more veteran player than Sims. He's in a rough stretch right now. Like, Tibbs, here's my answer. My answer is Tibbs is probably hoping that it turns around for him and he starts playing better. That's my answer.
I know he was bad tonight, but it's amazing. Like,
yeah,
a guy that played 10 minutes is the focus of this game.
It's there are nights when I get on here and I'm like, I'm legitimately shocked by how much the focus is on something or another.
Now, to be clear, that stretch at the end of the third when they went up 13 to up 5, and it just seemed like they were just picking on him and hitting open 3. Like, I can understand why that's the portion of the game people are focused on, but yeah, the Bucks also just suddenly became unbelievably hot from 3, and
that's not all That's not all Hartenstein's not all Fournier. That's just like you figure a team is gonna end up shooting, closer to their season averages by the end of the night, but like to that extent is, I don't. That's tough to foresee.
I have an updated offensive, defensive, and net rating.
Oh, for the
if you'd like
season?
it. Yes, for the
What is it?
season. So they are still 9th in offensive rating. I guess they might have gone down from 8th. It's 114.1 is what they're at now. Their defensive rating stayed at 10th, and it went up by 0.1. So they went from 111.6 to 111.7, and then they still have the 8th best net rating in the sport. Milwaukee's remains
Below us.
yeah. Is now 10th. Milwaukee. Milwaukee is now 17-14 since starting the season, 9-0. So
Yeah.
big win for the Bucks. Like, it sucks it was at our expense, but after talking to Tyler the other day, like there's consternation in Milwaukee right now. They're lucky because they have Giannis, so their season doesn't really start until April, but there's not a lot of pleasantries when it comes to how they approach this team and how that fan base watches this team, at least.
Yeah, which is funny to me because I watched them tonight and like, okay, you want to get on like they're in drop coverage and this and that, like a little bit too much. I watch this team and I think they execute. They have a really sound scheme at both ends of the court, given their personnel. Like they try to get Giannis going inside the arc, inside the paint, and shoot the three and get to the foul line. Like put the ball on the floor if they run you off the line. And then they got guys who could do stuff too. And on defense, like I have no idea what, like, you want to get on them for the drop coverage. It is the Bucks I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It is like if a team is going to hit enough threes, and look, the Celtics, to their credit, in Game 7 of last year, Grant Williams hit 1 billion threes, and it was the difference. It ended up being the difference in that series, right? But like it is such a luxury to be able to be like, we're going to take away literally everything you want to do except this one thing, and we're going to be selective about who we give this one thing to. And they're smart about who they give that one thing to when they do drop coverage. And that's why they've been, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm pretty sure over the last 3-4 years, if you go defensive rating over that entire time, I'm pretty sure the Bucks are number 1. But people want their teams to be better.
So last season, the Bucks were 14th in defense, partially because they were conceding the three a little bit more than they used to, especially the year before when they won the championship. The year before that, when they had one of the best net ratings ever,
and
when the season stopped because of COVID.
And yeah, when push came to shove in the Celtics series, that Celtics series was both of those teams had offensive ratings in the 90s. Like the Celtics, they knew when push games to shove, when it came to the playoffs, they were going to be able to scheme around pretty much everything. And they schemed around the Celtics for 6 games until the 7th game when Grant Williams went crazy.
Yeah.
And the Celtics were a dynamite offensive team, the best offensive team in the league this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robert Cross, first time, long time. John, if we ever trade Emmanuel quickly, my TV goes out the window. Hashtag 53 wins. I wouldn't blame you, Robert. GD Nation, Obi's defense makes me nervous. He needs to step it up. I mean, the moment that stands out the most for me on defense for him tonight was where he face guarded Bobby Portis, and Bobby just hit a nice 16-footer over him. I mean, like, I don't know. What can you do? I mean, he's, I talked a lot about before about how, like, you don't feel Evan Fournier on defense. I don't think you feel Obi Toppin on defense much either. Because What?
No, I was interrupted. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. What were you gonna say?
Do you think the reason he only played 8 minutes tonight is because he was coming back from
No, it's
injury,
good.
or do you think it's because they wanted to match?
No,
It seemed
matching
like okay,
Randall's minutes.
yeah.
Now, does it mean I think he's going to go back to playing like close to 20 minutes a night? No, I think he's going to settle in. I think you're going to see a lot of like 10, 12-minute nights from him just because Randall's playing out of his mind.
That's the other part. Like, we could talk about the Bucks hitting 19 threes, and I forget who said the comment that 19 threes to get to 111 points is not like you almost want to concede that, the Knicks in
Yeah.
any other night when Randall's taking 12 threes, most nights he's not going to go 1 for 12. Like I think I could find 5 points elsewhere that
Like,
it's not some systemic issue and strategic issue. Did I get frustrated with them hitting a ton of threes? Yes. Did I get frustrated with our bench being so awful and letting the lead get away? Yes. But I also he barely played the bench, and I'd rather that than get Giannis going, because then you have why didn't he double Luka when he went for 60? And like you can't have it both ways.
But again, it's like I this is what I meant before when I was like, everybody wants, because the perception is that like, okay, you can control coaching and coaching isn't in the moment, right? Coaching is, except it is, because there are players executing what you are calling. I still find it tough to deal with the selective emphasis. So like the Knicks tonight against a team, again, it's a really good defensive team, had 7 turnovers. Like, that's coaching. Like go talk to a Rockets fan right now about, turnovers and what they mean in an average game with a team that has a pretty good offense, young team. But guess what? You know who else is a young team? New York Knickerbockers.
I mean, John, look no further than the team they played tonight. The Bucks are 26 in turnovers this season. Like, they're a team that turns the ball over a lot, double what the Knicks did in turnovers. And if they didn't get hot from 3, and if Drew Holiday didn't suddenly remember that he's, an all-star and one of the better players that the league has, then they probably don't win tonight either. This team that lost by how much to Charlotte the other night?
Yeah. Shot selection. The Knicks continue to have they continue to take as few long twos as anyone in the league. The only players on the team who take any long twos anymore are Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, and Randle doesn't even take that many of them. They're incredibly sound in what kind of shots they hunt. And like, again, like that's coaching. There's a lot of things you could point to that show that like it's a very well coached team. It's never going to be perfect, especially when your talent is not to the level of most of the other teams in the league at the top end. And we know in the NBA, you could have a really super solid, and Danny Gardner keeps bringing this point up on the KFS halftime Zooms. They're super solid 1 through 6 when RJ's there. They have you could argue that 1 to 6, like that they're really up there with the best teams in the league, even though they don't have that number 1 and that number 2 that some other teams have. And like that goes a long way, but it's the NBA. It's how good is your number 1? How good is your number 2? Those have always been the 2 most important questions in the history of this sport. This is what it is.
Hey.
What?
No, the comment.
Oh,
the super chat I just put up. Yeah.
GG Nation, can you please like the video? Thumbs up, y'all. Oh, you mean for us? Our video. Yeah, sure. Like this video.
Thank you, GD Nation. Much appreciated.
Joe Dugan, I wish we could lose regular losses. LOL. Shake my head. I don't know. I think this. What is a regular loss?
Do
you want to get blown out?
The Sixers game on Christmas Day, where it was just so clear, and early in the fourth quarter it was over, and I was like, oh, okay, you lost to a better team.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's the concession you've made that a lot of people that I might not also have made, that the Knicks have been better than the Bucks this year.
To me, the fact that over the last month and change, you can legitimately point to, and I'll go through it very, very briefly right now. You can legitimately point to this game, the Mavs game, obviously, um, the Bulls game. You want to throw the Toronto game in there too, because they were right in that down the stretch. We're up to 4. The last Milwaukee game, the Memphis game, the Memphis game immediately before that, the Portland game. How many did I just name? 7?
Something like that. Yeah.
7 games. And then if you want to even throw in the first Memphis game, the game that started the season. So that's 8. So, that's almost half of their losses. I'm probably forgetting one. That have come in either heartbreaking fashion or like, man, they were right in that. Could have had that, didn't get it. It sucks. To me, that's just a sign that they're a team that plays really hard and that stays in it, which is generally a good sign. It's frustrating when you don't get more of the wins, and you have to look at like, okay, are there things that are systemic issues that are reasons we are not getting wins in these games? I'm not really at that point, but that's me. Jordan Miller, what's going on, Jordan? If only Hartenstein was good at basketball as he was at attracting absolute rockets off the court.
Rockets, not Rockets.
Rockets?
Yeah. Smoke shows.
I've never heard that term used to refer to
Me neither.
a member of the
I knew what he meant, though.
Maybe because I saw the Rockets like a month ago. But he's not, and I don't know why he plays over Sims. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. Shout out to this future Mrs. Hartenstein.
Yeah, no comment.
Barry Craver, KFS got all this wrong. Toppin re-enters the game and the league goes away. Stay strong with Sims. Wow.
All 8 minutes of Obi are why the Knicks lost tonight.
No. I thought Obi was okay. It's just Sims for Hartenstein. That's the move.
I agree.
Thanks, Barry. Wombler, I bet iHeart is on the leaderboard of multiple misses per possession. Multiple misses per possession. They should have a leaderboard for that.
That Charles Smith possession where he just kept getting
that was hard.
Kept tapping it up and tapping it up.
That was hard to watch.
And then it just, it was hard to watch. Yes. Thank you, everybody.
It's not your first rodeo.
No, it's not.
Jibo, what's going on, Jibo? Sad truth, we are just not a clutch team yet.
Jalen Brunson begs to differ, sir.
Yeah, I got to beg to differ. Jalen Brunson with a lot of clutch shots. He's clutch. Last year, they were not a clutch team. This year, with Brunson, he's been pretty damn clutch. I don't know what else to say to that. I think Drew Holiday, man, that dude wasn't there. There's an article that came out on like ESPN today or The Athletic or something, where Jalen Brunson was like the Nets series that they won before they won the championship. Like he said, he like took years off his life.
You mean Drew Holiday?
Drew Holiday. What did I say?
Jalen Brunson. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Drew Holiday. Like you think about the shots that guy's hit, like just massive shots. And he has that muscle memory. And there are 10 guys in the league at any given time who have that sort of muscle memory. He's one of them. And we were on the wrong end of it tonight. It sucks. But I don't think it means the Knicks aren't a clutch team necessarily. Jay Livingston, what's going on, Jay? This is tough. Agree. It had the feel of the 90s teams. Yeah, for sure, man. And losing a game to like Jordan's Bulls or, I don't know, one of those really good teams. The opportunity was there for the Knicks to take the next step. The Bucks are a championship team, bigger and tougher than the Knicks. I don't know if they're tougher. They're bigger. Again, there was a reason I picked this team to win the championship. There's a reason I picked Giannis Antetokounmpo to win the MVP. Andrew could tell you I've been consistent about that the entire year. I don't know if he's getting the MVP now.
He's not in the conversation, Sean.
Come on.
If he is, he's number 5. Like
Well, he moved ahead of
Whoa,
Durant
hold on.
today.
Durant
Hold
changes
on.
things. He might
Wait.
go up.
We're going to do this. He moved ahead of Durant today because Durant's not going to play enough games.
Right.
He's
Durant
moved ahead of
changes things.
Tatum. I'm sorry, but I love everything that Joel Embiid has done this year. I still have Antetokounmpo above Embiid.
Okay.
Games
I think
played,
the conversation. Well,
two-way
okay.
play.
Yeah. So
that
Giannis, I
means
guess, is now third or fourth. Yeah.
okay.
But I think
great.
it's
Well,
it's
no,
a
hold
far
on. Wait,
away.
we're not done yet.
Go ahead.
Jokic. That leaves Jokic,
It's number one.
Doncic.
That's two.
Okay, Jokic, Doncic, and Giannis. If Doncic cannot get a top 4 seed and he's in that 5, 6, 7 range, especially 7, but even the 5, 6 range, and the Bucks get their shit together and get Middleton back, and they end up 1-2 in the East, you're telling me he doesn't have a good chance to at least be neck and neck with Jokic down the stretch?
No.
Come on.
Not
I
this
think
not
that's
this
crazy.
season. No.
I think that's
John,
crazy.
first of all, Luka would be ahead of him even if he gets a 6 seed, I think.
Giannis, there are enough voters, I believe, who will. Yeah, who said it tonight? Was it Clyde or Breen? I think it was Clyde. Was like two-way. What did he say? Two-way dominance or two-way? He made some comment after Julius Randle put a hell of a move on Drew Holiday and got absolutely eviscerated at the rim by Giannis Antetokounmpo like it was nothing. He is maybe not the best defensive player in the sport, but he's in the top 5. And I wonder if there aren't enough voters out there who recognize that and appreciate that to once again honor him, maybe not as the winner, but in the top 2.
I will. If that were true, he would have been finished second last year because he was better last year, more efficient last year, and like Brook Lopez is their defensive player of the year candidate. He said
Where did
it
he finish
tonight.
last year?
He finished third. Yes, having one of his best seasons, like better than his first MVP season. Look, Luka would finish second right now, and Jokic would finish first, and then like put them all in a hat for third and fourth. If you want to say he's ahead of Durant now, fine, but before tonight or before today's news, or I guess before last night's injury, Durant would have been ahead of him, and rightfully so.
Fine.
That's why he's not in the conversation. It's a 2-man race right now. What Luka and Jokic are doing?
I'm logging my disagreement. He's in the conversation. I'm not conceding that. Anyway,
all right.
To be able to have that dude as your 4.
XJ's in the conversation saying that Embiid is way ahead of Giannis. So I'm guessing all of the Raptor and the Darko and the LeBron stats also agree with me.
What that guy means to this team, I understand Embiid has him by the advanced stats. Games played. Games played matters.
Okay.
Just does. To have that dude and to not have to play him at center because Brook Lopez does all of the things that you need on offense, and then you still get to have Brook Lopez be the defensive center. It is the size that they bring, and then to have Drew Holiday as the dude that's guarding the opposing team's point guard. It's just not fair. It's just not fair. And they get to do this, and good for them. Anyway, Dominic Manzi, need RJ back. Staggered minutes makes the bench minutes more digestible. Again, we're talking about this team like they were missing a really important part tonight. They've been missing a really important part tonight, and they won 4 in a row coming into this game, and they almost won tonight. He's
agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah, okay. Sounded like you were disagreeing with me, but
no, but I feel like the general sentiment tonight almost kind of not forgets, but doesn't properly acknowledge that RJ is missing and how important RJ is to this team at both ends of the floor. Fargo Tufo, hello from the land of enchantment. Who is this? Is this Alex?
He said it in the last.
Oh, that's right.
Game
yes.
that he got locked out of Reliquim Gaming. Yes,
Reliquim Gaming. What do I say? Requiem Gaming?
Requiem Gaming.
I've been making that error for the whole year.
I corrected you once, and then you didn't listen, so I was just like, okay, we're Requiem Gaming. We're good.
That's like the trio thing.
Yeah.
Fun game. Disappointing end to the third and parts of the fourth quarter. Love the effort. We are still growing as a team. Grimes and quickly continue to get better. I need Obi to do the same. Okay. It's fair.
Give him more than 8 minutes. Yeah.
He'll get there.
Yeah.
Mythic Monty. No obvious consolidation trade out there right now. Consolidation trade. I don't think this team is looking for a consolidation trade.
Speaking of Obi,
Eh.
there may be I don't even know if it's an upgrade trade. It's more of we have an all-star at the 4. We can fill the minutes elsewhere and give Obi a chance to play elsewhere. Like with our Pacers person that for the new pregame pod, I'm gonna ask, like, what do you think of Obi Toppin? And the rumors that Toppin to the Pacers was discussed.
If there were a trade that brought back a player that could be both your backup 4 and give you wing minutes alongside Randall, that's the sort of trade that I think they would investigate large in significant to a significant degree. Other than Kuzma, who, like, to be clear, I have no idea if the Knicks have any interest in Kuzma. He has not shot it well this year, but like Kuzma's a guy that at least you could look at and be like, okay, he could play the 4, and we could also have him on the floor with Randall and feel okay about it. Other than him, I'm not sure there's a player of that A, description, and B, like, talent level that is out there. So yeah, I don't know if I see it. Dom, my goodness gracious, Dom, what are you doing? Thank you, Dom. Dom Cappuccini, ladies and gentlemen. You can't be a real fan and not be proud of this team's toughness and determination. Optimistic that another run might be brewing. RJ will be back soon, and the next 2 weeks' worth of opponents don't come close to Milwaukee. The second half of the season is about to be fun. First of all, Dom, thank you so much. You like these sorts of comments and the generosity of these. I will never cease to amaze me. To your point, I wonder what the tenor of the locker room was after this game tonight. I am sure that they were disappointed in the fact that they lost this game. Of course, they were disappointed by the fact they lost this game. However, I have to think that there is probably some talk about, like, look, and they all believe in Julius, right? We know they all believe in Julius. They're all looking at the fact that Julius went 1 for 12 tonight, and the fact they didn't have RJ, and they're looking at it and be like, guys, if we play like this, and we just shoot to our percentages, and we have all of our guys, we could beat any team in the league. I bet you they are exiting this one on a high note more than they are exiting it on a down note. And to what you just said, as far as the games coming up, you want to just real quick go through the next? We go through the next 10 games. I'll just say them real quick. Indiana at home, at Washington, at Detroit. What?
Win. Keep going.
At Washington, at Detroit.
Win.
You're gonna do this, aren't you?
Yep.
Toronto at home.
Win.
You're an evil fucking person.
Keep going.
Your father's a pastor. You're still going to hell. Washington at home.
Win.
At Atlanta.
Might need overtime, but win.
At Toronto.
Another win. New streak in Toronto.
It's great.
Yeah.
Cleveland at home.
Win.
At Boston.
Another. All right. That's a loss. That'll be fair. Okay. Fair and reasonable. Yeah.
At Brooklyn, probably no KD. And then I'll end with this: 4-game homestand. Lakers, Heat, Clippers, Philly.
4-0.
Of course. So the next 10 games, even if you're not siding with Mr. Claudio for whatever the fuck that was, 9-1, you probably feel good about 6-4 at the very least, maybe 7-3. I would personally, I would sign for 6-4 for the next 10 games. I would sign for 6-4 for any 10-game stretch for the rest of the season.
You want a real answer? Is RJ back for? Are you saying RJ Barrett's back for all 10 of them?
Look,
Like project that because I'm operating
yeah, I
with
think based
that.
on the
If he's
reports
back,
today,
if he's back for
shout
all
out to our
10 of them.
friends. Get the
Oh,
get
here
the,
we go. You're right.
get the banner up. Our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum. Don't forget, if you have any personal injury needs, contact our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum. I'll say, oh, here we go. 212-366-6100 or visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. The word today earlier on RJ was that he's really close. He's really, really, really close. I took that as he'll play in the Pacers game. That's how I took it.
Then yeah, 6-4 is very reasonable to expect.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, even if you go through that and it's 5-5, that puts you at 27-24.
I
mean,
mean,
51 games, which like I would have signed up for that.
Look, we're not going to do it right now, but like looking through the rest of their season, they have one really difficult stretch remaining in which it's 6 road games in 6 days. At Miami, at Boston, Charlotte at home. That's the easy one. At Kings, at Clippers, at Lakers, at Portland. And then they come home to play Denver and Minnesota. Who knows what Minnesota will be like. So really that 10-game stretch, that's their hardest stretch left. That said, looking at the schedule in totality, if you take the rest of the season in 10-game segments, there is no reason not to be able to expect 5-5 to 6-4 for each of those 10-game segments. And what are they? Over 500. They're 3 games over 500 right now, right?
Yep, 22-19.
So let's just say, for argument's sake, they go 5-5 2 of those stretches and 6-4 in the other 2, and then flip a coin for the one remaining game because we're now halfway through the season. That puts them 5 games above 500 for the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
43
so what is that? 38. So then you add one more.
Let's make it 44. Let's make it 44 and 38. You know,
the over hits.
Oh, the over was 39.5. Right?
Well, yeah, 39.5. I meant for our Claudio Casino over. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a Knicks fan right now, you're sitting there, you're 3 games over for the first 41 games. You probably want to be 3 games over for the second 41 games. That would be 44 and 38. That's pretty good.
Yep.
I think that's pretty good. That would be a good job by this team. I think they could do a little bit better. It's my gut feeling.
We shall see. I'm going to go back behind because we got a lot of super chats still rolling.
All right, we'll get through these. We'll get through these in short order. Pluckster, what's going on, Pluckster? Thank you for the generous contribution. Knicks are playing watchable basketball. We've gone the entire season without this much fight. These aren't tough losses like how is Hornacek going to work Noah into this lineup? Wow, there's a throwback. Tough losses. Zoom out, we're on the upswing. Yeah, we have gone entire seasons without this much fight. And they do fight. They do play hard. They have a game plan that works a good deal of the time, and they execute that game plan for the large majority of games. You know, and it's never going to be perfect. It never is perfect when you don't have top-end talent. And when you don't have a deep team, too. That's the other thing, right? Is like the Knicks lost RJ Barrett. We see how much that matters because all of a sudden you're depending on an Evan Fournier. That hurts you. Would it be nice to have someone else in Evan Fournier's place, especially when Evan Fournier is making $18 million? Yes. Beggars can't be choosers. Things are good right now. They're good. They're playing a brand of basketball that we could appreciate and respect. Great comment, Pluxter. Appreciate that. Next up, Dom Cappuccini with another one. Dom doesn't know when to stop. If this is Julius the rest of the way, not only all-star luck, but this will be a major reason the Knicks could turn into a dark horse along with the others doing their thing. Man, Brunson, I know this isn't your comment, but Brunson, I think, re-injected himself into the all-star conversation after tonight. Did he not? It's going to be really interesting to see who gets it. I still don't think Randall's a lock. I think he should get in. I think he deserves to get in. I hope there's an injury situation that makes it that it's not a nail biter. But no, I think your point is well taken. If for Julius, for the first 20 or so games or more of this season, it was always, well, yeah, he's doing what he's doing on offense, but the defense, right? It's like he takes at least as much off the table as he puts on. His defense tonight, I mean, I don't know what more you could say. And that really, I think, does inspire everybody else around you. If he could play that level of defense, if RJ could play that level of defense once RJ is back, and then you got Grimes and Quickly and Deuce and Mitch. We didn't even talk about Mitch tonight. Mitch had a great game tonight. I don't care how many points he scored. Mitch had a fantastic game tonight. That's a top 5 defense. Full stop, top 5 defense. And they've shown themselves this year to be able to score enough points. It's a really good team. It's a really good team. Thanks, Tom. Robert Cross with another one. Yeah, I mistakenly liked GMAC's tweet, and that was not good. Hashtag 53 wins. I blame you now more than I do GMAC. Thank you for at least being honest, Robert. Jordan Miller. But seriously, why is iHeart struggling so much? I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for you there. Might be in his head a little bit. I mean, he came here because he thought he was going to be a contributing player, helping the team win. And it's at the point now where he has to be cognizant of the fact that he's like part of the struggles that they do continue to have. That can't be easy. So yeah, I don't think he's not playing up to his abilities. He's just not. Mythic Monty. They'll be fine in the long term. Reasons for optimism. Yeah, agree. Good comment. Appreciate it. Thank you. Harry Donert, thank you as always for your generous contribution. I know it won't happen, but is it fair and reasonable to say that the Knicks would be a better team with Quickly starting over RJ or even Grimes when he comes back? Huh. I'm done with the IQ as a bench player nonsense. Here's my pushback, Harry. We have players every year in the NBA who come off the bench and they are de facto starters playing upwards of 30 minutes a night. I think if Quickly plays 30 minutes a night or close to 30 minutes a night, you're fine. I think the bigger questions are the sorts of players that do play those levels of minutes off the bench oftentimes are like third or even higher on their team in usage. You could say that about Clarkson in years past, Tyler Hero in years past, going back longer, guys like Jason Terry, Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams. Manu was obviously the gold standard. Manu Ginobili, fucking Hall of Famer. With Brunson, Randall, and RJ here on this team, is there enough meat on the bone left for Quickly to really give you everything that I think, judging by your comment, you feel like he's capable of giving you? That's the question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. At the same time, I also think if you're like, okay, well then, someone needs to go or someone needs to be slotted down. Like you're if RJ Brunson and Randall are here, they're your top 3. That's just going to be what it is. And then if you're like, okay, we'll do a consolidation trade and maybe not right now, but do something where you're bringing in a superstar and maybe, 2 of those guys go out. Like, do we think Emmanuel Quickly could be the 3rd best player on a championship team? Or the 3rd highest usage guy in a championship team? I'm not there yet. I think Emmanuel Quickly on a title team I think it's very fair and reasonable to say he could be the number 4 guy, and he could be the first guy off the bench, and he could have a very, very nice 22, 23, 24 maybe usage rate and get enough of his shots that way. That's where I feel Quickly's end game is. They're not going to bench RJ, and they're not going to bench Grimes. The starting lineup is too good. It works too well. It's just about finding the minutes, which should be easy, and finding the shots and the opportunities for Quickly to run the offense, because we've seen how well he does with those opportunities of late. Saw it again tonight. So, good stuff, Harry. Appreciate that. Fargo Tufo with another one. With Grimes, RJ, and Brunson injuries and Rose falling off a cliff, the bench hasn't had consistent lineups. The bench will get better over the second half. Yeah, I think that counts as a defensive Isaiah Hartenstein comment. It might be stretching it a little bit. Yeah, the bench will be fine. I'm not worried about the bench long term. RJ coming back will help that a lot, because RJ is going to play. The bench isn't going to have any bench-only minutes. There will always be a starter with the bench, and that starter is probably going to be RJ Barrett all of the time. The bench will be okay. Harry Donut with another one. I enjoyed this loss more than the San Antonio win. That's fair. I think that's fair. They certainly played better. I don't understand why these teams play the Knicks like it's Game 7 of the finals every night. Yeah, Bucks gave it their all. The Bucks gave it their all. Mythic Monty, John, am I out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. Fantastic Simpsons quote. But in all seriousness, appreciate your measured and well thought out takes on this team. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm deserving of those platitudes, but thank you. I do appreciate it. We can be old together. Dom with another one. Dom, you're the MVP of tonight, man. Grimes isn't a run-of-the-mill 3-and-D trick pony. The world will understand. Wow, bold words. Bullock's ceiling is already breaking through it. Hashtag we back. And Eastern Conference be afraid. Night John and GMAC. LOL. Dom, awesome stuff tonight. Can't thank you enough. Truly, 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 truly. Thank you. Grimes is better than just 3-and-D. I love him on drives. I know his drives didn't yield as much fruit as they usually do tonight, but it's just when you have a guy that teams have to fear so much pulling up from 3, and teams do fear him, and then he could also put the ball on the floor that fast, and the key component, that the super glue that ties it together, is the decision making, where he's going to shoot up, he's going to rise up and fire away in an instant. He's going to put the ball on the floor and drive in an instant. There's no time taken. Both of those decisions, whenever he makes either one, happen instantaneously. And then when you factor in the execution, that he hits enough of those threes, and that so much fruit oftentimes comes from those drives. That is a player who, again, even if you never get any creation upside from him, that is the perfect fourth guy on a starting lineup to surround your 3 more ball dominant dudes. Perfect. You cannot have a better guy. Can't imagine it. Awesome player. Love him. Can't wait to see him watch him grow from here. Thank you, Dom, once again. Javier Montalvo, shout out to Pastor Claudio. Tibbs is freaking mental. But, JM, should we give Tibbs credit for doing exactly what we all called out for last year? I will give myself the shout out. Check out today's Knicks Film School newsletter. It's free. If you're not a paid subscriber, you can still read it. I celebrated Tom Thibodeau's 100th win. Do I think Tibbs should get some credit? Yes, I do. Robert Cross with another one. Congrats to the KFS crew for moving on up. Much deserved, even for Cutlass. Hashtag 53 wins. Hey, listen. It's because of your efforts, Robert. The folks at MSG only want to be in business with Knicks Film School because they know it indirectly gets them in business with Robert Cross. That's the real motivation. Thank you, Robert. ARA Rawad. We haven't heard from ARA Rawad in a bit. I'm curious. He always has some interesting comments. As the leader of the Cam Hive, he's someone who could have been useful in tonight's game. I disagree. But who knows? Austin Z. First time, long time, John. I'm not too mad. Okay. Knicks may have many heartbreaking losses this year, but that's also because they've been in almost every game. Yeah, that's the point. You made it more eloquently than me. That's the point I was trying to make before. They've had 8 or so games or 9 games where you could look at and be like, oh my God, they were right there. How did they not win that one? It's a heartbreaker. Like look at last year in comparison to this year. I mean, since the Oklahoma City game, which was the 13th game of the year, right? They have been blown out. They were not close in the fourth quarter at Golden State. They were not close in the fourth quarter at Phoenix. They ended up getting blown out by Dallas. And then if you want to throw the game at San Antonio in there, you can. If you want to throw Philly in there, you can. I mean, they were right there neck and neck with Philly for 40 minutes of that game or 38 minutes of that game, and even the Spurs game, they had a chance to win that game with 3 minutes left. So really, since the 13th game of the season, without question, you could count the games they have not been in on one hand, and really, even that's saying a bit much. It's really more like a couple of games. So, 2-3 games. That's in a 28 game sample size. That's pretty good, considering you got teams like the Bucks that are getting blown out by the Hornets. Like, that shit happens every night. And so we could look at the Knicks over 2 months worth of basketball and be like, okay, this team essentially doesn't get ever blown out anymore. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it. Good comment. Ryan Eggers, what's going on, Ryan? John, whisper sweet nothings to me about Jalen's 44. Yeah, man. There were people who said that was an overpay. Which was silly at the time, and we all said it was silly, and we've been saying it's silly for most of the year now. Yeah, he's one of the most gifted offensive players in the sport. Pound for pound, he might be the most gifted offensive player in the sport. He's that good. He's just a special player. And the best part about it is his work ethic lets you know that the best is yet to come. And shout out to it wouldn't be a KFS post game without a shout out to Benji Ritholtz. Benji Ritholtz put out a fantastic thread, or not a thread, a video film breakdown earlier today, in which he pointed out how the one weakness in Jalen Brunson's game, pull-up three-point shooting, he already has more pull-up threes this season than he did all of last year. This is a guy that's going to continue getting better at any weaknesses in his game. He's only going to keep improving. And by the way, his contract is descending in value. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Larry Brown. I don't think this is the former Knicks coach, Larry Brown. RJ's finger is fine. He's just being shocked. CMM. I don't think that's the case. Poison pill. 2 words. Thanks, Larry. Okay, with a comment. Why do you say Halliburton is a surefire all-star, but Randall isn't? Looking at metrics, wouldn't Randall be a sure bet? I'm not sure what metrics you're referring to. I believe I looked up an advanced stat like a couple days ago that had Halliburton like in the top like 4 or 5 of all NBA players. I will look up that stat now to see what the hell I was talking about. The Pacers are really good. They have a better record than the Knicks. Not as good a net rating. Halliburton's leading the league in assists. I think that matters. He's shooting a ton of threes. He's shooting a ton of off the dribble threes. He's creating offense. And like, who's the second best player on that team? Like, Julius Randle has played this entire year with another guy who is legitimately in the All-Star conversation. Tyrese Halliburton has like a nice, spunky, fun team with some real talent on it, but he healed, obviously, hitting a ton of threes. Ben Mathurin, Miles Turner, some other guys. But like, there's a reason they were picked to finish with like 24 wins. And I think teams, you look at what they've done, you need to have a galvanizing force to go from like, we're supposed to win 24 games to we're the 6th seed halfway through the season. Like Randall was for us 2 years ago. I think Halliburton is that for them this year. So I do think he's a lock. I think he's that good. But you know, that's my take. You could disagree. You know, totally fair. Super biased Neek says those iHeart minutes absolutely killed us. Sims. Yeah, we've heard a lot of that tonight, and we'll see if we get some Jericho Sims minutes before all is said and done. Ed Paolo, Randall's play in the final 4 minutes is so odd. Today he looks scared. It's what's concerning me long term with him. Props to him for turning it around, though. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what you're referring to. He had those couple of plays where they doubled Brunson and he drove and he was like in between shooting or passing. I get that. I think that's a tough situation. It's not a situation he's been in at all this year, where it's like, wait a minute, do I attempt a wide open 6-foot floater, or do I try to keep barreling in, or do I and then try to pass it to Mitch? I thought Randall's decision making this year, by and large, has been really good, and I think his decision making tonight was really good. You want to get on him for 1 or 2 plays, that's fine. Anyway, just to close the loop on that last comment, Tyrese Halliburton this year, value over replacement player, he is 4th in the league behind Doncic, Jokic, and Kevin Durant. Box plus minus, he is 7th in the league. And win shares, he is 5th in the league behind Jokic, Doncic, Durant, and Domantas Sabonis. Pretty funny, the 2 guys that were traded for each other are 4th and 5th in the league in win shares. That's wild. Thanks, Ed. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? Give you a shout out earlier. People always freak out about Knicks losing close games, but can't acknowledge that the reason for that is the lack of a star. Yep. It's the classic, who are you going to give the ball to down the stretch? I mean, tonight it was Brunson, you know, but I think tonight it was just like they needed some more threes to go down, you know, and they needed the Bucks to miss a few. They didn't get it. Sucks. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it as always. Fargo 24 with another one. Check out XJ's tweet with Brunson's clutch stats. I saw it come across the board before. Andrew, I don't know if you want to put it up. So he is 4th in total clutch points. He has a 65.1 true shooting percentage, which is preposterous in clutch situations, especially. 36.8 points per 36 minutes in clutch situations, and less than 1 turnover per 36 minutes in clutch situations. That is pretty good. He is great. He's great. And look, every team in the league, for the most part, resorts in crunch time iso ball, or at the very least, well-contested threes. Nice to have a guy who hits those shots. And that's it. We're done. We got in under 2 hours. Shout out to us. Shout out to all of you. The generosity tonight was outstanding. We appreciate it. We will be back with a fresh podcast coming tomorrow. Look forward to that. And we'll be back for another post game after the game on Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, follow us on social at Knicks Film School. That's SKOOL. And we will be back with more fun and games very soon. Peace out.